Greetings. I'm braving the heat, which is extreme, and now I'm braving the wind, which is coming in this afternoon, which feels really good. I hope it's a breeze, so it's really cooling things off. Please forgive my wind chimes and my curtain whipping into my face, but that's life at my house. So, if that bothers you, see you later. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about something today, regardless of the heat and how I'm all sweating and icky in the camera. But on Sunday, we just had Labor Day weekend here in the States. We celebrate. Labor Day was Monday, and it's usually the last hurrah. It used to be, at least traditionally, the last hurrah for people. It's of the summer, supposedly the last vacationing of the summer, before school starts, before sports, some of the fall sports start, etc. It used to be a time when families would wrap up all their vacationing. People used to take their vacations always in the summer. Anyway, those days are gone. School starts now. Some schools go year-round, and for our kids around here, school starts before Labor Day, always. Some even at the beginning of August. I'm not sure why. But, so the meaning has changed for the beginning of the reason for the day, for the celebration. Also, it was meant to honor the contributions made by the labor force in the country, the working people, what they do for the economy, for the sake of everybody. That's kind of changed too a little bit. People's feelings of that. No consequence. But what has not changed, and what is coming into be, I should say, is the idea that it marks the end of summer. Well, I think you know what I'm going to say about that. We still have some summer to go here. Summer is not officially ended until the equinox, until Mabon on the 21st or 2nd, whatever it is, of September. We still have a few more weeks. And for most of us, I know here in California, this is the hottest it's really been right now, all summer. This is we get the heat of the summer. I know, remembering when we lived in Pennsylvania when I was younger, it would get really hot in September. We used to go shopping for back to school clothes, and we were all excited about our back to school clothes, and we got a lot of the wools and those things. And I remember the first day of school, it was important that you wear new clothes to school, so we were always wearing these big, heavy, wintry kind of clothes, and it was always hot, and it was really horrible. It was really horrible. We got over it after the second or third day, and we went back to wear some of the hot weather clothing. But here, what I wanted to bring up about this, the reason I wanted to bring it up, is I was sitting at some friend's house. We were invited to a party. Some friend's house had it. It was beautiful. It was a lobster party. It was a bring your own lobster. And they would cook the lobster, and just a nice evening, and just a lovely, lovely evening with the ocean breezes. It was beautiful. It was nice and cool, and in a really lush garden. Oh, and beautiful, lovely people, lovely conversation, great food, and it was a celebration, really, of the end of the season. I think it was meant to be like the end of the season celebration, like they all are at Labor Day. But I'll tell you, that garden, of course, the climate they're in is a little different, the microclimate, a little different than ours here. Being really close to the ocean, facing a different way on the ocean, I believe. I think it's south facing there, I'm not sure. Anyway, the very temperate climate, very temperate. It was in the 70s. It hasn't been here in the 70s for a while. And her garden is just plush as anything. Lush garden, not plush, lush. Squashes, just the plants are so lively still. The tomatoes are ripening on the vine, beans, and growing, and oh, it was so wonderful. And here, you know, our garden has really been suffering because it's really hot, so the plants are kind of getting frizzled. Kind of getting frizzled and fried, trying to keep them alive long enough to get the last of the harvest of those crops off before we start the next harvest. Now, that's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about, you know, what's coming, because I mentioned it last video a little bit about, you know, people rushing the season, rushing the Halloween season. But the season of Lammas, which is the first harvest, the first of 3 harvests in the wheel of the year, and it is so important that we get ourselves in line with Lammas. You're not all gardeners. I know you're not all gardeners. We're not talking about just harvesting the grain and the corn and the crops, those kind of crops, which that's what the first is all about, the first harvest. Now keep in mind, you know, if we're going to base our wheel on the Celtic wheel of the year, they only had 2 seasons. They had a summer and a winter. And it was everything revolved around the crops and when to plant and when to harvest and when to whatever, store whatever. And this was the harvest of the crops. This was when the grain was cut, corn was cut, you know, this the big thing here. It was a big deal. We don't quite have that. But we do have the idea of all the things that we have planted, all the things that have been planted, all the seeds that have been planted since Imbolc, really, and through Ostara and through the summer. All the intentions that were planted, all the ideas, you know, we had some great ideas, all of those things. This is the time to begin to harvest, And I think Lammas is particularly important because it's a preparation for what is to come. When we harvest things, you know, when I'm harvesting for my tomatoes from my garden, or the beans from my garden, or the squash from my garden, and I've got, this year's a really good year for butternut squash, and there's good, I can keep those, you know, throughout the winter, into the winter. I'm down to, I think today or tomorrow, I'm going to be making some tomato soup out of some of my beautiful heirlooms. And it's going to go, some spicy tomato soup is going to go in my freezer for later on. I'm preparing for what is to come. I'm preparing for what is to come in the winter when I don't have fresh tomatoes. I'm going to be able to take that soup out of my freezer, and oh my, that's going to sing a whole new song standing beside that grilled cheese sandwich, isn't it? Of my fresh tomatoes and things. The butternut squash, I'm going to get a lot of meals out of that. And I'm going to be remembering what I grew in my garden. So that's a really important thing, preparing it for what is to come. We do the things. Goodbye. Goodbye. Okay, goodbye. Good stay. Oh, good stay. That's a good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Excuse me. We're training dogs. Bayan. Stay. Good stay. Good boy. Oh, he's so good. That's a good boy. Usually they would try to rush out the door. Every time Joe would leave, they would want to go out in the garden with him. And knowing this sometimes that he's going to say goodbye. And that means he's leaving and we're not going with him. We'll see him in a while. Okay? Okay. So anyway, it's a really important time to prepare for what is to come. And what is to come for us, those of us who are not in the garden? Well, we know the next Sabbath that is coming up in September, in a couple weeks, is Mabon, the equinox, okay? And, oh, the equinoxes are some of my favorite times of the year, particularly Mabon. I think Mabon is such an important time to get yourself into balance, to really put yourself into balance, to ground yourself and get yourself into balance before we start closing up our homes and closing ourselves away for the winter. We have to really be in balance. We have to keep things in balance with ourselves. So that's when we're going to do some shadow work, a lot of us, as the darkness comes. And before that can happen, we check ourselves and we balance ourselves. And before we can do that, though, we have to harvest what we have. We have to harvest what we have. And I found a really cool spread. I'm making a long video, but I found a really cool Lammas tarot spread that I used because I like the points that it was making. It wants us to take stock exactly of the abundance that we have in our lives. And it says, where can we give? What do we have that we can give others? What do we need to keep on getting? And how can we use the skills we have? All these wonderful things, you know, coming up, getting ready to come up into Mabon. Okay. So I really like this. I really like this spread. And so what I did, well, here first let me tell you what it is. I just set it up like this. This is not the way it originally was. But if you can see it here, the first card here is the glowing. What is the most nourishing fruit that you carry right now? What skill or ability do you have right now? What is your, the greatest, what is your crop? This year for us it was the butternut squash, but what is my crop right now? What is the high of my life? What is high right now for me? And then we're going to compare on 2 and 3 beside. We're looking at the first reaping. What are we harvesting? What are the fruits of the labor? Things that are completed, things that are maybe some obstacles that have been overcome, maybe have abundance of something. Okay, there's that kind of a life. And then decide what are the tools at your disposal to gather your harvest. Okay, we look at those 2 things first. And then we come down here on these 2 cards in the middle, 4 and 5. The ripening, what is still ripening? What do we still have to work on? What are we still waiting for? We need more time for certain things to mature. And changing. What is changing within you as the dark of the year waxes? We feel the changes, don't we? But it's asking us, let's look and see what kind of things are going to be changing around us. Let's identify some of those changes. And then we have down at the bottom, card 6, card 7, and card 8 in the middle. Giving, what ways can you share? And receiving, what do you need to receive more? And not just that, maybe are you resistant to some kind of change? Do you need some help with some kind of, to get you through a change? And then finally, the descending. What do you need to focus on between now and Mabon to prepare for the darkness that is coming? Well, I'm just giving you a little bit of a tease now, but I'm preparing something very specific for the darkness coming, and you're going to be hearing about that in a while. I told you I'm working on a book project, and this is one of the parts of this. It's an activity for the book that I'm working on very hard. And it's going to be coming up at the very end of September. This was some activity that I'm doing, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that. I don't want to talk too much about it right now, but I'm definitely, really going. I'm really preparing for that moment. So I'm physically preparing things and mentally preparing things, but also how am I emotionally preparing myself? How am I psychologically preparing myself? What am I doing to get ready in my personal life for, regardless of this project I'm working on, but how am I going to go forward at this point with the harvest, getting ready? Now we have this first harvest, second harvest of Mabon. Okay, what is going to happen at that time? Now, how I did this is why I just thought this was an interesting point. I'm not going to go through the tarot, each of my cards with you too much, because you can get your own. It's about my life, it's not about yours, so it's not that interesting probably to you, but it will be interesting if I tell you how it worked out for me. That I did, because it was, I've been following, you've been following me, I've been doing my bullet journal here. Jessica, the Story Witch, has gotten me involved, and I'm very much involved in my journals. And I've been looking at it, working with a different deck of cards each month, except the last 2 months, August and July, I've been working with the Tarot of the Animal Lords. I worked with it for 2 months because I was having a little trouble with it. First of all, I had to get over the animal people, the animals as people. I've said that in the past. I like animals as animals. And some of these I wasn't too sure of, but that was one of the reasons. And another reason was I wasn't crazy about the book. Remember, and that's when I went off and started looking at some of the meanings a little differently. And so I was really quite happy with how the readings came out for this, how the cards came out, because I did that first using these cards. That was like on the 31st of August. 31st, I think it was, of August. Maybe it was the 30th of August. I think it was probably the 30th of August. And then the 1st of September, on the 1st or 2nd of September, I did that same layout, that same reading, using the deck that I'm going to be working with this month of September. I'm going back to my favorite, one of my favorites, the Wildwood Tarot. I haven't been here in a long time, but a lot of you have shared my love for this card, for this deck. The imagery is beautiful for me, and I really identify with it so much. And some of you even went and bought the deck based on some of the things I said about it, so I want to revisit that for you too. But I'm going to be working with it throughout the month. And so I did the same reading, the same layout with these cards, because I was curious to see how would they read differently. Would it be different? Well, I was surprised to say, I of course got completely different cards, but how I was able to read, they gave me kind of the same reading. And this is what my favorite thing is about tarot spreads. The difference between a tarot spread and reading one card of the day. One card of the day, you don't have any context clues. You just have a card, okay? Here we have the Sun card. Okay, I'm just picked this up off of the deck here. It's a Sun card. Now we can look at the Sun card and we can say, oh, the Sun card is, it's really letting go of what holds you back and really being able to, have a breakthrough of some kind, to really get through to the end of something. Really, finally things are working out for us, right? Well, that's a bit much for a daily draw. It's a bit much for the daily draw, because I don't think things are that black and white usually for a card, some of these cards, especially for a major arcana card. Major arcana cards don't happen overnight. They take a while. Like a big thing takes a while to come and to be there and then to go. Maybe a something that's small. I've been having to think in major arcana cards. Oh, everyone click up as a major arcana. Okay, here I just pulled like the Seven of Pentacles is something that's a passing, kind of a passing thing. It's a small day-to-day thing, right? So that could be more of a daily card. But for a major arcana card, they don't read so well for that, but they read really well. They work really well in the middle of a reading, whether it's a 3-card reading or whatever. And in this case, we had 8 cards, an 8-card reading, and they worked really well. Okay. So anyway, I just want to show you the difference and how this worked out for me. I'm not sure how to do this for you, but I want to say, using the animal tarot, my first card, which was about what is the most nourishing fruit. What do I have? What is my skill or ability right now? And my whole thing came back to me was the High Priestess, was my intuition. Okay, so that was really cool about that. My second card was the Reaping. What am I harvesting right now? And I came back with Hangman. I'm harvesting right now. I have the ability to gain a new perspective. It's my chance to get rid of old behaviors and maybe start new ones. Okay. This is very quick. Now, this is not how quick a reading would go. But I just want to show you the cards to show you how you can get different cards to read the same thing. The third one, I told you I'm getting a lot of major arcana cards. The Moon. Kind of weird. The Moon, again, intuition. What are the tools at the disposal to gather my harvest, depending on my intuition? That that thing that is really working right now with me, that I'm carrying around with me. I have to trust it. Let go of blocks or negative self-talk or things that I'm not quite sure of, and trust my intuition. 4 is what is still ripening. I have the 3 of, the 3 of Wands. It says, I just have to be patient. It's regressing, but it's taking a little while. Things are taking a little while. So I'm working on my projects, but it's taking a little while. I just have to be patient. Not trying to rush it. There can't be trying to rush it. What is changing within me right now? I love this because here we had the King of Swords. Remember, we just learned the King of Swords is the earthy side of air, right? Earthy side of air. The completion, that changing, the clarity, having that mental clarity, but also the fact that he is open to his intuition. I need to be open in mine. What has changed within me? I am starting to trust my intuition more. This is the time, starting to trust my intuition as the dark of the year approaches. Okay. What do I have to give? What is my abundance that I have to give? The 5 of Wands. Working with a group this was an interesting thing. And I'll tell you why in a few minutes why this is important. I'm going to put this one aside just so I can come to you back to that card. 7, what do you need to receive in your life? The 6 of Wands. Okay, I need to get rid of the baggage I don't need anymore and to accept the change when necessary. Move forward, picking your head up and looking, not bearing your head down, but looking where you're going. Looking forward to where you're going. Okay. So that's maybe a change for me, to facing things head on. And the last one, what you need to focus on between now and May month to prepare for the dark. I'm going to talk about this in a minute too. Here we have the 10 of Chalices. Relationships, getting back in line. Trusting your intuition to use opportunities to reach your highest goals. I'm coming back to that. Now, what was so interesting when I went to the next deck, the same questions were asked. The first one, what is the most nourishing fruit ability that I carry right now? And here I have rebirth. The 8 of Vessels, learning from that past, acknowledging mistakes, and going forward with that. Okay, a time for renewal. Trusting your intuition, isn't it? Isn't water all about intuition and your feelings and your experiences all coming through you and trusting in them? Do you see the similarities? Okay, the second one. But what you're harvesting, this is the archer. The archer came up. The archer is all about getting your tools together, steady, being careful and steady, and sticking to what you have learned, knowing what you have, and then proceeding. Right? And using the tools. Number 3, using the tools. Look at the tools around me. Patience again. Patience again. And also stopping to celebrate. Not just plowing forward, but being able to stop and celebrating tiny moments. So that was a really cool thing. I'm putting that aside, if I can. Sorry if I'm rushing through. It's going to make sense in a minute. What is still ripening? The 2 of Arrows. Questioning false messages, doubt, fear, false judgments, being brought down by old worries. Desire to leap before you know into the unknown, and being afraid to do that. Okay, so am I not ready to go forward? I'm not quite ready. I need to trust, again, that message of trusting your intuition before you go forward. Trusting it. Trusting it. Taking off the blindfold. Letting those arrows fall. I like this depiction of the 2 of Arrows because it looks like she's holding them up against her chest. It's like did she wound herself? I don't know. But she's holding the wound. She's holding on to the wound. She's holding on to the hurt. She's refusing to look past it. So I need to be sure I'm working on this, to work past mistakes, not go backwards, go forward only. Okay. The fifth card again was the changing. What is changing as in me, as the dark of the moon, as we're coming towards the darkness. Okay, we're getting a little lower, lower. We've had this all the light, and the light is slowly diminishing up and to right. Mavon, it's slowly diminishing. Not as much light, not as much light, not as much light. And what is happening? The Fool, the Wanderer. Okay, something's happening. Something's carrying me forward. Some kind of a new possibility is going to come up. It's not going to be something old coming back. It's something that's completely new. Okay. Card number 6 is what ways can you share your abundance? I love this because this is the Queen of Bows. The Queen of Bows is all about helpfulness, being creative, being courteous, being responsible, understanding, offering peace and love to people, having your deep awareness around you and your enterprises, knowing what helps, and then use what you have learned to help others, right? Being nurturing, being giving, not keeping it all to yourself, which I really love that. Could keep that aside. And then finally we have 2 cards, the receiving, what you need to receive more of your life, and what are you resistant to change. Here we have the Guardian, which I love this Guardian standing there, because the Guardian is telling you to face your fears. He's telling you to integrate the shadow and the light. Integrate the shadow and the light. Not separating them. Not separating them, but integrating that shadow and the light. Being comfortable with that. Being comfortable with that. So many of us spend so much time trying to hide the shadow from everybody, right? That's why we wait till the dark of the year to work on it. But the Guardian tells us you need to be comfortable with the shadow in the light. Okay? You become stronger from experiencing the understanding and accepting that darkness. That's what makes you strong. That's what makes you go forward. Okay? So I really love that. I love that depiction. And finally, last, celebrate with it talks about the descending. What do you need to focus on between now and May 1 to prepare for the dark? Here we go again. Joy, the 3 of Vessels. Celebrating with a communal group of people or a family. Sharing gifts. Connecting to joy to allow healing and empowering energies to flow through you. Joy, energy, and success through joy. We're so used to success through hard work, success through deprivation, success through doing without. Oh, I'm just going to work hard. I'm not going to go out and play. I'm just going to keep my nose to the grindstone and work and work and work and work and work. If you don't take time out to enjoy it, if you don't take time out to play, to rest, to regroup, to reconnect, you don't go forward. You don't go forward. Isn't that interesting that this came up in this deck and this came up in the other deck? The same thing. Stop. Stop. Take stock. Celebrate. I'm getting the same message from both cards, which I thought was so totally cool. Then today, and I'm going to talk about, both of the readings. So, I'll talk about this first. So for the notes from both readings to begin with, I carry intuition with me through many years of experience and the mistakes that I made, and this is the time to renew and to try and to work towards my potential. Obstacles, secondly, obstacles can be overcome by gaining new perspective, steadying my mind, harvesting my talents, harvesting my knowledge, not overthinking, but listening. That's what we do at May 1. We stop, we gather, and we listen. Right now, I'm listening to the wind chimes. I'm listening to the water in the fountain. Right? I'm waiting. I'm listening. I have a million things to do. But you see, if I do not stop and appreciate these moments, I'm not going to get anywhere. Thirdly, intuition plus the gifts of time and patience are things that are offered to me. Taking the time for relaxation and celebration, and also to use the moon's energy. The moon's energy. Isn't that what we do in the aspects? That's what I do every full moon. Every full moon, we celebrate with an aspect. Every full moon. Every full moon has a little different kind of an energy, right? And allowing that moon, why do we celebrate it? Allowing that to help us. Allowing that, using the energy of whatever the moon is to go forward. We'll talk a little bit about that in another video. But, you know, if we believe this stuff, we need to practice it. We need to practice it. Let's look at those moons. Let's look at what the moon is telling me this month. Okay? Everything is progressing slowly, steadily, for a reason. You must exercise patience. You don't want to go quickly, because going too quickly, that's like the running of scissors, right? It's going to set you back. It's going to set me back. If I go too fast, it's going to set me back into old patterns, into old failures, into things that were not happening. And what did I say? What was the card? The King of Swords. He keeps me from doing that. He keeps me grounded. He keeps the earthy side of air. Not running with scissors. Steady. Thinking things true. Staying grounded. Trusting intuition. Remembering experiences. Remembering failures. Using those things to work for me. Okay. Being open to the intuition will keep me flexible and open to a whole new set of possibilities. Next point, abandon ideas of competition. Other people are not my competition. Other people are my support. Other people are not my competition. Other people are my support. Other people are not my competition. Other people are my support. We teach this in the SCA. I'm a bard in the SCA. I'm an entertainer. I sing, tell stories, play instruments. A lot of my friends are as well. And we teach to each other the idea that we are each other's greatest support. That if we appreciate it, we know what it's like to have a bad performance. We know what it's like to forget your words. We know what it's like when you start out in the wrong key. We know what it's like when the audience is talking when you're trying to sing. We know what it's like. We identify with each other. We know what it's like to stand up for the first time in a new situation or try out something new. We know what it's like when you've worked really, really hard on something and you've really succeeded. We know what it's like. We say that to each other all the time. We teach that. I've taught that in classes many times. But so many times I've been in competitions, set up competitions. They're always setting up competitions for us to compete against each other. That sometimes we start to believe we are in competition with each other. And we forget we are our greatest support. This is the time my cards are telling me I need to use people. I need to celebrate these people. And I'm going to come back and tell you that in a minute. I keep saying I'm coming back, but I really am. Okay. 2 more points. The 7th point is releasing the baggage, holding your head up. Okay. Integrating the shadow into the light. Not putting ourselves down and closing our eyes and not, I'm just going to get away from here. I just got to get away from here. No, I'm not going to just get away from here. Where am I going to go? I'm going somewhere. Do you see the difference? I'm not going to get away from here. I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to open my eyes. I'm incorporating the shadow into the light. I'm going to remember my mistakes. And I'm going to learn from the mistakes. I'm going to remember my experiences. I'm going to remember how embarrassed I was when I did X. And instead of dwelling on my embarrassment, I am going to use how I felt to keep myself from that happening again. Or from reminding myself that I was embarrassed, but nothing bad came from it. I was okay. It was okay. It was okay. Okay? And finally, Focusing on my relationships and keeping in alignment with my feelings. If it feels good, do it. Okay, now, the point of the whole thing, not the point, but I went today, this morning, I did my daily draw out of the Wildwood Tarot, my card for the day. After these two readings are behind me, and what card did I get? I got the Hermit. Do I love this? The Hooded Man. I love this so much because the Hermit, we think about the Hermit as being somebody who's isolated and puts himself aside, away from everybody else, and that's really the case. And that's really the case, I think for me. I've been kind of stressed. I've had kind of a hard summer. I've had some health issues this summer. I've had some, I'm trying very hard to work on a project. I've been really stressed about that. We've been doing some stuff around the house. It's just not getting through. We're not getting finished. And here comes winter around the corner, and I don't have the stuff done. And there's a lot of things, little stresses that I've been getting caught up in stress. And it's been showing itself, I think, in back problems and whatever. And I just recently went through a severe bout with allergic reaction to, of all things, mosquito bites, which, I mean, I know I have an issue with mosquitoes, but we don't normally have mosquitoes here where I live, and we have them this year, and they're a special kind of mosquito that I don't just get bites from it. I've got severe rashes and welts raised up all over pretty much half of my body. It was really, it was a mess. Okay, so I had a lot of things. It was making it worse. That was making it worse. It was hard for me to get out. But then when I was ready to get out, I was kind of nervous to get out. I didn't really want to get out. Okay? What I'm trying to say here is, this coming up for me today reminded me, this Hermit is not just, he has been away. He has put himself, separated himself from things. But now where is he? Now he's out with his light. He's out with his staff. Right? He's looking forward to getting back to where he came from, or where he's going. Maybe it's in a different way, but he's coming back. He's not going to stay. He's not going to turn around and go back in his house. He's shining his way along the path. He's got his walking stick, his staff, so he can walk along the path, find his way. In some of the decks, you actually see him at the top of the hill looking down the hill. He's ready to descend to the hill again. Okay? It's time to get back. It's time to get back among the people. We talked, I don't know, did we talk about the hare? I don't think I did. I wrote a little bit in my journal about the hare. I loved the hare being the, representing the Queen of Oaths, because the hare, oh, I know, I was looking at the hare moon. The hare is represented in the Celtic world. They think they're very connected. Hares are very connected with the fairies, number one, or of the underworld. That they think, that they believe that they can go back and forth between this world and the other world at will. One of the things I think that made them think that is, you see a hare and it's gone, and then you know it's there. How to get there? Like it's like seems to be popping up into sight and popping out of sight. You don't see it leaving. You just see it there and everywhere. I think that's where the thought came from. But they find them very connected that way. Okay? And so we can connect with working on ourselves, working on our shadow work, but also representing fertility, representing new growth, using our shadow work to make us grow, right? Growing towards the shadow. We think about the light diminishing towards the shadow. We need to think of ourselves as growing towards the shadow, grasping that shadow, embracing the shadow, making it a part of our, bringing it into the light, and using it, right? Using it to get to, for healing purposes, right? Okay, so that was really cool. And also the ideas of celebration. All these cards of celebration, getting together. What I was saying about the hooded man. Remember what my reading said about celebrating, getting together with other people, taking some time to celebrate with other people. Not isolating myself. So I thought that was a really good message from today. So maybe one single card is not necessarily easy to read, but on the coming on the heels of a nice tarot reading, it can really help clarify it and really help cement what you think the meaning was in that. Anyway, it was interesting to me. What's the point? Well, a couple points before I close. Excuse me while I get a drink here. A couple points before I close. It is not, we're not in the darkness yet. As much as you want it to be Halloween, it is still Lammas. It is still summer. As much as you want summer to be over, it is still summer. Bring some of the darkness into the light. Bring some of the darkness into the light. Look at it. Make a plan for it. Okay? Where you want to go with it. I feel a lot better thinking that what I'm harvesting now, thinking about what I'm going to harvest now, how that's going to help me when I move into the darkness, when I move into shadow, makes me feel better. Making my soup for the winter makes me feel better. Right? Canning my tomatoes makes me feel better. Working on my project makes me feel better. If I stop on my project and spend some time with some friends for a little bit, that gives me a reason to continue on my project. The feeling that I have for my friends. I mean, they're going to benefit from this book that I'm writing. Okay? They're going to benefit. Some of them are going to benefit a lot when my project at the end of September comes up, and I'll tell you about that in a little while, which is part of my project. Okay? And they're going to benefit a lot from that. Incorporating that, not setting yourself, not dividing light and darkness, not necessarily dividing Lammas, Mabon, Selwyn in their own little packages, but carrying them through when it's time. When it's time. Don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead. You're missing so much. Use this time to get ready for Mabon. Use this time to prepare. What do you need to do before darkness starts to come? What do you need to do? What do you need to do to bring yourself into balance at Mabon? We all have those feelings. We all have those feelings. You have to be grounded. You have to be grounded. Some of us are grounded, get grounded by doing things in the summer, by going to the beach. I talked about that in the beach. The beach is one of my most favorite places to be grounded because you have the sand under your feet. Oh, I love particularly the sand between your toes, or the wet sand under your feet, or the water lapping up on your toes, the feeling of the water, the feeling of the wind, the breeze, the feeling of the heat of the sun, or the fire from a fire pit. You feel all of the elements at once. It grounds you. But what if you haven't had that experience? I didn't have a lot of that experience this year because I wasn't really able to do it. Okay. Fortunately, I can still go and be grounded. I can get myself really grounded. I have the beach at my hand all the time. But, walking barefoot in your garden, if you've done that. But don't just rush. Don't rush. Slow down and listen. Slow down and listen to what the universe is trying to tell you. How it's trying to tell you need to prepare. Okay. How's the time? I recommend, if you don't do this kind of reading that I did, if you read tarot, to do a reading for yourself and ask questions. It doesn't have to be this reading, but ask the question: what do you need to do? What do you have around you? What are you harvesting? What tools do you have at hand to use to harvest things that you're harvesting now and things that are to come? What do you have to? In what ways can you share what you have, and what do you still need, or what do you need to change? And then how do you prepare for the darkness coming? Okay. Ask yourself that. If you don't do it in a tarot, use another way, or just meditate and try to see what that is for you. Prepare yourself. Use the last couple weeks of Lammas. Don't ignore them. Use them for good. They're going to help you. They're going to help you when it comes May 1. Okay? This is a long rambling video, sorry. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And as always, I'm Rebecca and I wish you blessings.